name's Arthur Hawansky, and I'm a music teacher for the Clovis Unified School District. I teach orchestra classes, grades 7 through 12. When I was first given this assignment, I thought this is going to be a bit of a challenge to incorporate a writing component into a music class. And I gave it a lot of thought, and I think with the lesson plan that I came up with, it accomplishes a number of goals. First, it satisfies the writing component. And next, it gives the students, because of the writing assignment that I've given them, gives them a way to rethink about the music and get connected to the music on a much more emotional and artistic level. The specific assignment that I've given them is that they are to listen to and analyze a piece that they're currently working on, which happens to be the overture to Mozart's opera Idomeneo. And by listening, analyzing this music, hopefully they'll be inspired to write a short story that reflects that music. Let me explain further. When Mozart wrote the music for the story, or the opera, he was using the story as the inspiration. Well, we're kind of reverse engineering that process, and we're using Mozart's music now to come up with an original story. So the student's assignment is going to be to listen to the music, be inspired by it, and come up with a story of their own. I'm giving them the three main characters from the opera, so they're limited in that respect. And to start the process for them to think about this project, I'm going to have them listen to a number of excerpts in class on the computer, and we're going to finish up with this very famous excerpt. So I think that's probably one of the most famous themes in all of cinematic music. And of course that music is associated with a certain character, Darth Vader. And you can't help but, when you listen to that, but think about the sinister nature of the character, and certainly the music brings that out. The idea of listening to themes and analyzing music is maybe a technical way to connect to the music. And then when the student puts their own artistic ideas to that music, that furthers their connection. And then when they perform it and think about those things, I think they're making a much more convincing performance to an audience. So we've listened to a number of pieces. I'll end with the Darth Vader theme. And then I want to talk to the students about kind of good storytelling. One component of a good story is that it has a certain form to it. And music is the same way. For example, if we relate form in music to form in storytelling, it could be put this way. The themes that you'll hear in this opera overture, we'll consider that section A. When the themes are introduced, it would be like a story. The characters are introduced. Well, a composer takes those themes and he changes them around. He'll go to different key areas and expand on them and create some different tension in the music. Well, that's in a story, the B section. That would be when there's a problem. There's a situation that needs attention. So we have the introduction of the characters, we have a problem established, and then at the end, of course, there's the conclusion. In music, that conclusion would be a return to the A material. So we have this ABA form in music that's oftentimes mirrored in good storytelling. To get the kids to maybe see that and to understand that, I think what I'll do is we'll talk about the most recent situation comedy that they saw, and it could be anything from The Big Bang Theory to Modern Family. And if we just talk about the last episode of that, many of the students might be able to relate to how that story has to be told within 20 minutes. It's very short. Well, the process that they're going to be using to write their stories would be a micro theme. And in a micro theme, your thoughts have to be very clear and concise. There has to be a logical flow because you don't have a big novel or an essay to extrapolate many of your concepts. So I want the assignment to actually be quite short, maybe a page, but I want the students to really think about what they're going to write. The graphic organizer that I'll use to facilitate that would be, I have it written down here. a problem solution outline. And I'll give the students a handout on that, but I'll also do a teacher think aloud, and I'll put that graphic organizer up on the board. And what I'll do is have the students listen to a piece that they're currently working on, not the overture, but another piece. And then I'll create the story out loud by listening to the music and just coming up with something that the students can see how I would think about it as I complete a story, a very short story in front of them. So this short story that they're going to write will be a page in length, and I don't want the students to have a lot of pressure on them. So the assessment, they're going to be told that it will be just on their creativity and not on spelling or grammar. So I'll be giving maybe a 1 through 5 rubric rating on their stories. Again, the story has to make sense, it has to be concise, there has to be a creative element to it. And my rubric might go something like this. A number 1 would be the lowest score, and that would be story does not make sense. And number 5 would be this: story is very creative and has a clear beginning, development, and conclusion. The California standards that will be expressed and explored on this exercise are as follows. We'll be performing music from a variety of cultures and historical periods. We'll be analyzing and describing significant musical events perceived and remembered in a given oral example. And lastly, compare and contrast musical means used to create images and evoke feelings and emotions in works of music from various cultures. The assignment that I would give here might take 1 to 2 weeks. The rehearsal schedule that I have at school is actually quite rigorous. We have many concerts, so I would never use this to take up the entire week of teaching. This would be like 15 minutes a day, and depending on how much time we have to devote to it, it would, like I said, take up maybe 1 to 2 weeks to teach. It's actually quite a good lesson because one thing that you're teaching in orchestra class or any musician is kind of 2 things. There's always the technical side, and that is we'll get the right note at the right time. And then the other side of that coin is this idea of being artistic and having something to say emotionally to foster that, I guess, connection with the music. This is actually quite a good exercise for the students to be thinking about the piece they're playing, analyzing it, listening to the themes, thinking about the form of the piece, and then making a connection to that in this form of this imagery with the story. So I think this lesson does have some validity to it, and would be something that I would want to teach to my students, and something a skill that they would apply actually to every piece that they play. So I hope you've enjoyed my presentation, and thank you for listening.